This looks like just a 5-cent coin, something you'd barely notice in your pocket. But what if this tiny coin could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? One small minting mistake turned ordinary nickels into some of the rarest coins on Earth. The next 5-cent coin you pick up could change everything. In a year remembered worldwide for disruption and uncertainty, everyday objects often took on unexpected meanings. Coins were no exception. In 2020, while much of daily life slowed or shifted, the U.S. Mint continued striking coins to keep commerce moving. Among those ordinary productions was the 2020p Jefferson Nickel, a 5-cent piece that most people barely noticed. Yet hidden within that massive output were rare minting errors that transformed a common modern nickel into a highly sought-after collectible, with confirmed values today ranging from $54,750 to $130,800. The 2020p Jefferson Nickel carried a familiar appearance. The obverse showed the dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse featured Monticello, his iconic Virginia estate. This design, in use for decades with minor adjustments, had become almost invisible to the public eye. That familiarity played a major role in allowing error coins to pass through unnoticed, blending seamlessly with millions of correctly struck examples. Like other modern nickels, the 2020 issue was struck on a copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The official weight is 5.00 grams, with very tight tolerances. For collectors, this specification is critical. Any deviation from that standard can indicate a mint error, especially when paired with unusual visual characteristics. Weight, therefore, often becomes the first clue that a seemingly normal nickel may be something extraordinary. The minting process in 2020 relied heavily on automation. Metal strips were rolled to precise thickness, punched into blank planchets, cleaned, and then fed into high-speed presses. These presses applied tremendous force, striking hundreds of coins per minute. Under such conditions, even a small malfunction, misalignment, or timing error could result in a flawed coin. Given the sheer number of nickels produced, it is unsurprising that some errors escaped quality control. One of the most visually striking errors found on 2020p Jefferson Nickels is the off-center strike. This occurs when a planchet is not properly aligned between the dies at the moment of impact. The resulting coin displays a partial design, with a blank crescent-shaped area where the die failed to strike. Collectors prize off-center strikes that range between 15 and 50% off-center while still showing a full or readable date. These coins vividly demonstrate how a split second of misalignment can create a dramatic and valuable result. Another rare and highly valuable category is the wrong planchet error. In these cases, a nickel design is struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or composition. Because each coin type has a specific size and weight, wrong planchet errors are often immediately noticeable when weighed. A 2020p Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet will not meet the 5.00 gram standard, alerting experienced collectors that something is unusual. When authenticated, such errors often reach the upper end of the $130,800 value range. Double die errors also appear among 2020 nickels, though they are relatively scarce. These originate during the die creation process, when the die receives more than one misaligned impression from the hub. Coins struck from such a die show clear doubling on design elements, such as the date, lettering, or Jefferson's profile. Genuine double die coins display distinct separation rather than flat, shelf-like distortion, which helps differentiate them from machine doubling or post-mint damage. Die cracks and die breaks provide another window into the stresses of modern coin production. As dies strike hundreds of thousands of coins, microscopic fractures begin to form. Over time, these cracks grow and transfer raised lines of metal onto the coins. Some 2020p Jefferson nickels show fine cracks running through Monticello or across the inscriptions. More advanced die breaks can create thick, raised blobs or distorted design elements, making each affected coin visually unique. Clipped planchet errors, though less common, have also been documented for modern nickels. These occur earlier in the manufacturing process, when metal strips are improperly fed into the blanking press. The resulting planchet is missing a portion of metal before it is struck. Once struck, the coin displays a curved or straight clip along its edge. Authentic clips usually show metal flow toward the missing area, confirming that the error occurred at the mint rather than after circulation. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. Many 2020 nickels entered circulation immediately and acquired scratches, contact marks, and wear. Error coins that circulated for extended periods often lost much of their visual appeal. However, some examples were pulled from circulation early, perhaps found in original bank rolls or saved by attentive individuals. When a strong error is combined with a high mint state grade, the coin's value can increase dramatically. Professional certification is essential for coins in this value range. Third-party grading services authenticate the coin, identify the specific error type, and assign a grade based on condition. Encapsulation protects the coin and provides confidence to buyers and sellers alike. For high-value 2020p Jefferson nickel errors, certification is often the deciding factor in achieving strong auction results. Market demand for modern error coins has grown steadily in recent years. Collectors appreciate the combination of accessibility and rarity. Unlike older coins that are largely locked away in collections, modern nickels can still be found in everyday places. This ongoing possibility of discovery fuels excitement and keeps interest high. It is also important to distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Bending, filing, heat exposure, or chemical alteration can dramatically change a coin's appearance but do not create legitimate numismatic value. Authentic errors show characteristics consistent with the minting process and are often supported by weight anomalies and professional evaluation. Beyond their monetary worth, these error nickels serve as physical records of imperfection within mass production. They capture brief moments when machinery, alignment, or timing failed. Each coin preserves a silent story of pressure, metal flow, and chance, frozen in time. Ultimately, the 2020p US Monticello Jefferson nickel error coin proves that even in the modern era, remarkable numismatic treasures can still emerge from ordinary change. With values ranging from $54,750 to $130,800, these 5-cent pieces challenge assumptions about what is worth examining and saving. For those willing to look closely, weigh carefully, and seek expert evaluation, an unassuming nickel from 2020 could turn out to be a rare and valuable piece of American minting history hiding in plain sight. During the late 1980s, American commerce moved quickly, and coins passed from hand to hand with little thought. In 1987, nickels were everywhere, used for parking meters, vending machines, and everyday purchases. Almost no one paused to examine them closely. Yet within that ordinary flow of money, a small number of 1987 Jefferson nickels emerged with striking minting errors that would later elevate them from pocket change to elite collectibles, with documented value ranges today between $79,000 and $210,000. The 1987 Jefferson nickel was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark on the obverse. Like other nickels of its era, it was composed of a copper-nickel alloy containing 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a standard weight of exactly 5.00 grams. The obverse featured the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse displayed Monticello, the Virginia estate closely associated with his legacy. This design had been in circulation for decades, making it easy for unusual coins to slip by unnoticed. The minting environment in 1987 relied on high-speed presses designed to produce massive quantities of coins efficiently. Metal strips were rolled, punched into planchets, annealed, cleaned, and then struck under immense pressure. While quality control standards were high, perfection was not guaranteed. Minor disruptions in timing, alignment, or material handling could result in errors. When these flawed coins escaped detection, they entered circulation, carrying hidden value. One of the most visually dramatic errors found on some 1987 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. This occurs when a planchet fails to align properly between the dies at the moment of impact. The resulting coin may show only part of the design, with a smooth, blank area where metal was never struck. Collectors strongly favor off-center examples that remain between 15 and 50% off-center while still showing a complete date and mint mark. These coins clearly demonstrate how a split-second mechanical misalignment can transform an ordinary nickel into a standout rarity. Wrong planchet errors represent another highly valuable category. In these cases, a Jefferson nickel design was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Because each coin type has its own size, thickness, and weight, wrong planchet errors are often discovered through careful weighing. A genuine 1987 nickel struck on an incorrect planchet will not meet the standard 5.00 gram specification. When verified, such errors often sit near the top of the $210,000 valuation range due to their extreme rarity. Double die errors also play a major role in the desirability of certain 1987 nickels. These originate during the die creation process, when the die receives multiple impressions that are slightly misaligned. Coins struck from such dies display visible doubling on letters, numbers, or facial features. On authentic double die nickels, the doubling appears as clear separation rather than flat distortion. Collectors pay close attention to the date, the word liberty, and Jefferson's profile when searching for this type of error. Die cracks and die breaks tell another story of the stresses involved in mass production. As dies strike hundreds of thousands of coins, they gradually weaken. Small cracks form and eventually expand, transferring raised lines of metal onto the coins they strike. Some 1987 Jefferson Nickels show fine cracks crossing Monticello or cutting through lettering. More advanced die breaks can produce bold raised areas or distorted design elements, making each coin visually distinctive. Clipped planchet errors, though less frequently encountered, also exist for this issue. These errors occur when metal strips overlap or misfeed during the blanking process, leaving a portion of the planchet missing before striking. The resulting coin shows a curved or straight clip along its edge. Genuine clips usually display metal flow toward the missing section, confirming that the flaw occurred during minting rather than after circulation. Condition is a critical factor in determining value. Many 1987 nickels circulated heavily, accumulating scratches, edge dings, and surface wear. Error coins that remained in circulation for years often lost sharp detail, reducing their desirability. However, some examples were discovered early, possibly pulled from original rolls or saved by observant individuals. When a strong mint error is paired with a high mint state grade, the value can increase dramatically. Professional authentication and grading are essential for coins in this price range. Third-party grading services verify the authenticity of the error, identify its type, and assign a numerical grade based on condition. Encapsulation protects the coin and provides confidence for buyers and sellers. For high-value 1987 Jefferson nickel errors, certification often determines whether a coin reaches the lower end of the market or approaches the $210,000 level. The collector market for error coins has expanded significantly over the past few decades. Enthusiasts appreciate the blend of technical detail and chance that error coins represent. Unlike commemorative or intentionally limited issues, mint errors exist because something went wrong. Each one is unique evidence of a momentary failure in an otherwise precise industrial process. It is important to separate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Bending, filing, chemical exposure, or heat damage can drastically alter a coin's appearance but do not add numismatic value. Authentic errors show characteristics consistent with the minting process and are often supported by weight anomalies, metal flow patterns, and expert analysis. Beyond their monetary worth, 1987 Jefferson nickel error coins serve as tangible reminders that perfection is rare, even in systems designed for uniformity. They capture brief interruptions in mass production and preserve them in metal. Each coin carries a silent narrative of pressure, alignment, and human oversight frozen in time. Ultimately, the 1987 US Monticello Jefferson nickel error coin proves that extraordinary value can hide within the most familiar objects. With values ranging from $79,000 to $210,000, these 5-cent pieces challenge assumptions about age, rarity, and worth. For collectors and everyday observers alike, they reinforce a powerful idea. Sometimes history, rarity, and fortune are already in your hand. You just have to know where and how to look. In the years just after World War II, America was rebuilding, factories were humming again, and everyday life slowly returned to a sense of normal rhythm. In 1948, millions of nickels flowed out of the U.S. Mint and into circulation, exchanged for newspapers, bus rides, and cups of coffee. No one stopping at a corner store would have imagined that some of those 5-cent pieces would one day become prized artifacts of numismatic history. Yet today, rare error examples of the 1948 U.S. Monticello Jefferson nickel command astonishing prices ranging from $86,110 to $286,210, turning an unassuming coin into a 6-figure treasure. The 1948 Jefferson nickel belongs to an important transitional period in American coinage. The nation had emerged from wartime metal restrictions, and the mint was once again focused on supplying enough coins for a rapidly growing economy. These nickels were struck at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, all using the familiar copper-nickel alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The official standard weight of a Jefferson nickel from this era is exactly 5.00 grams, a measurement that plays a critical role in identifying valuable errors today. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, a design first introduced in 1938. The reverse displays Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, rendered with fine architectural detail. By 1948, this design was well established, which ironically made it easier for mistakes to slip through unnoticed. When a design becomes familiar, small abnormalities are less likely to raise immediate alarms on the mint floor. Understanding how these errors occurred requires a look at the minting process itself. Large sheets of metal were rolled to precise thickness, punched into round blanks called planchets, and then heated and cleaned before striking. These planchets were fed into high-speed presses, where obverse and reverse dies struck them with immense force. During periods of high demand, such as the late 1940s, speed was essential. That speed occasionally came at the cost of perfection, allowing flawed coins to escape quality control point. One of the most sought-after error types for the 1948 Jefferson nickel is the off-metal or wrong planchet strike. In these cases, a nickel design was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a 1-cent or 10-cent blank. Because each denomination has a different metal composition and weight, these errors stand out immediately when weighed. A genuine example will deviate noticeably from the standard 5.00 grams, sometimes weighing significantly less or more. Collectors rely heavily on this measurement to authenticate such pieces, as weight provides objective evidence that the error occurred during minting. Another valuable error associated with this coin is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet is not perfectly seated between the dies at the moment of impact. The result can be a coin where part of the design is missing, replaced by a smooth, blank crescent. The most desirable off-center errors typically show 20 to 50% of the design missing while still retaining a fully visible date. When these conditions are met, the coin clearly tells the story of a mechanical misalignment frozen in time. Double die errors also contribute to the high valuations seen in this series. These errors originate earlier in the production chain, during the creation of the dies themselves. If a die receives more than one impression from the hub at slightly different angles, doubling appears on the coins it strikes. On 1948 Jefferson Nickels, doubling may be visible in the lettering, Jefferson's profile, or architectural details of Monticello. True double dies show clean, separated outlines rather than flat or smeared distortion, a key distinction collectors learn to recognize. Die cracks and die breaks are another category of error that attracts strong interest. As dies wore down from repeated use, stress fractures developed. Early cracks appear as thin raised lines, while more advanced breaks can create bold lumps of metal or distort parts of the design. Some 1948 nickels exhibit dramatic die breaks across Monticello or through the lettering, making each piece visually unique. These errors serve as physical records of the strain placed on minting equipment during peak production years. Clipped planchet errors, though less common, also exist for this issue. These occur when the metal strip used to punch planchets overlaps or misfeeds, causing part of the blank to be missing before striking. Authentic clips usually have a curved shape and show metal flow toward the missing area, confirming they originated during the minting process rather than from later damage. Real-world sales illustrate why collectors are willing to pay such extraordinary prices. Documented auction records show that a certified 1948 Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet sold in the early 2010s for well over $200,000, driven by its extreme rarity and excellent preservation. Another high-grade off-center example with a visible date reportedly realized more than $120,000 at a specialized error coin auction. These are not speculative figures but results of competitive bidding among advanced collectors who understood the coin's significance. Condition and grading play a decisive role in determining where a coin falls within the $86,110 to $286,210 range. An error that remains sharp with minimal wear and strong eye appeal will always outperform a similar error that circulated heavily. Professional grading services authenticate the error, assign a numerical grade, and encapsulate the coin, providing confidence to buyers and sellers alike. For coins of this caliber, certification is not optional. It is essential. Collectors are also drawn to the historical context of these coins. The late 1940s marked a period of optimism and expansion in the United States. Holding a 1948 era nickel is like holding a small fragment of that era, one that quietly slipped through the cracks of industrial precision. Each flaw represents a brief moment when machinery, metal, and human oversight intersected imperfectly. What makes the story even more compelling is where these coins are often found. Many era nickels were discovered not in vaults, but in jars, drawers, inherited collections, or rolls pulled from banks decades ago. Their owners initially saw nothing special, only later realizing the importance of weight, alignment, and metal composition. In the end, the 1948 U.S. Monticello Jefferson nickel error coin stands as a powerful reminder that rarity is not always obvious. With confirmed values ranging from $86,110 to $286,210, these 5-cent pieces prove that extraordinary worth can hide in the smallest details. By checking dates, examining designs closely, weighing coins against the official 5.00 gram standard, and researching verified sold prices, anyone can begin uncovering hidden history. Sometimes, the most remarkable stories are already sitting quietly in the palm of your hand.